Can you meet me halfway? Right at the borderline, I swear I'm gonna wait for you. I'll be looking now, night and day. Took my heart to the limit, and this is where I'll stay. I can't go any further than this. I want you so bad, it's not home. Can you meet me halfway? Right at the borderline, I swear I'm gonna wait for you. I'll be looking now, night and day. Took my heart to the limit, and this is where I'll stay. I can't go any further than this. I want you so bad, it's not home. Can you meet me halfway? Right at the borderline, I swear I'm gonna wait for you. I'll be looking now, night and day. Took my heart to the limit, and this is where I'll stay. I can't go any further than this.
Town. Probably die in a small town, those small communities. All my friends are in small towns. My parents live in the same small town. My job is so small town, provides little opportunity. Educated in a small town, learned to love Jesus in a small town. Used to daydream in that small town, boring romantic, that's me. Oh, but I've seen it all in a small town. Had myself a ball in a small town. Married a man, brought him back to this town. Now he's small town just like me.
5 o'clock traffic, I'm moving slow. I'm in the right lane, that's the usual. Time is feeling static, it's all my fault. Cause when you switch lanes, then you lose it all. Oh, I wish that things went a little different. All the small things that I did, I'd be missing. I miss driving in the HOV, just you and me, no hurry. I miss dinners that we wouldn't eat, cause it wasn't cheap, no worries. I miss all the little things that we did, but didn't notice. You never know a good thing until it's gone. I miss driving in a HOV, now life moves somewhat slowly. I got a list of reasons you'll live forever in my head. Remember spending weekends watching whatever's playing next. Remember when the seasons when you were cold and got upset. I guess we're never even. I said some things that I regret. Embrace the time that I got used to. A state of mind that's no longer new. I'll chase this high of getting close to you.
Hi.
Of getting close to you.
Good morning.
Oh, I wish that things went a little different.
It's a good song.
All the small things that I didn't know I'd be missing. I miss driving in the HOV, just you and me, no hurry. I miss dinners that we wouldn't eat, cause it wasn't cheap, no worries.
We're not in a rush.
I miss all the little things that we did, but didn't notice. You never know a good thing until it's gone. I miss driving in a HOV, now life moves somewhat slowly.
Good morning. Hello. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. It was quite a night. It's been quite a morning. I have some idea what's going on. I'll try to get you caught up. How are you all doing? It's about 7 a.m. Eastern. It's Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. It is relatively cold here in Boston, although it's supposed to get up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit today with a very low humidity. Here on the east coast of the United States, it is 1 p.m. in South Africa, it's 2 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and it's 2:30 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Where do things stand? Well, we had quite a night. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Thank you very much for joining me today. We had quite a night indeed. Good morning, Towel Mom Lynn. How are you doing? Good morning, Big Time Driver. Good morning, Liberty St. J. Good morning, Silent Dogs. Good morning, Shannon. Hello. I hope you are all doing well. We're going to do a breakfast time with Towel today. One, because I had to miss my medical appointment on Friday, so I have to get that rescheduled after it opens at 9. And then I have other things I got to go do today. I got to go to the grocery store and other errands, so I thought we would do a morning news update. And there was a heck of a lot of things that happened overnight. I'm going to do my best to interpret, amalgamate, and explain to you the current state of things. If you feel like things are in a perpetual state of chaos, it's because there are. If you're waking up to headlines about attacks on Iran last night and anti-aircraft activity and bombing in Lebanon and threats to bomb Beirut and evacuations of the southern suburbs and threats to bomb Nabatayeth and the evacuation of Nabatayeth in the last hour and etc., etc., I'll do my best. The Hajj is, of course, starting in Saudi Arabia. This is a very intense time. If you read the latest updates in the last 15 minutes, what you're going to hear is that the last sticking point on a peace deal between the Iranians and the Americans, mediated by the Qataris, is the release of $24 billion in US dollars of Iranian frozen assets. It's not American money going to the Iranians. It might be some Qatari money going to the Iranians, but it's not American money. The point is, Iran wants $12 billion of that $24 billion released. It's the final sort of, if you believe the reports from Tasnim news agency in Iran, it's the, maybe Fars, either one. They're both state-supported news agencies affiliated with the IRGC. They're reporting that's the last sticking point to get this done. Now, Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu are losing their minds. I can't even explain to you how I'm a towel. We literally buffered as soon as the stream started. I'm back. I shall not be deterred. I know exactly how to get around those kind of buffering issues. Hello, I'm a towel. So I can't really explain to you in turns. I'm going to show you the raw video of how the last 14 hours, perhaps more like 12 to 14 hours, played out. It was quite strange. To say that the Benjamin Netanyahu government, hello Kim, keep it moving, hello Rigel, good to see you all. To say that the Benjamin Netanyahu government is collapsing and reacting with just furor is an understatement, but they're also somewhat constrained. What will be the tip-off that the Benjamin Netanyahu government has lost control of this situation is if they try to bomb Beirut before this agreement between the Iranians and the U.S. goes through. Here's what happened. Mr. President Trump would really prefer that the Gulf countries align with Israel under something called the Abrams Accord. Okay, so he tried to put that on the table during negotiations on Saturday. The Gulf countries are not really a fan of that. What they would prefer is a Saudi, Pakistani, Qatari-led coalition, and they don't want Israel in the Middle East. Maybe they'll recognize Israel, but they certainly don't want to go with an Abraham's Accord framework, which involves like cooperation and normalization of relationships with Israel. That's just not going to happen. Nope, alerts, alerts, I repeat, alerts, alerts. Oh, Silent Dogs is going to be, ringing the bell. Silent Dogs, we have alerts. There's been a lot of Hezbollah aircraft and drones being fired into northern Israel, in particular, specifically in the past 6 hours, because Israel has, as I mentioned, threatened a massive escalation, including threatening to bomb Beirut, which caused a bunch of the citizens of southern Lebanon, southern Beirut, the Lebanese capital, to flee the area. Now, here's what we're talking about. If you take a look at the map behind me, you can see an active drone alert to the south of Shatula, which is to the northeast of Nir Tanya, right along the confrontation line, aka the border between Lebanon and Israel, okay? Now, that's the south of Lebanon. There's been a lot of bombing by Israel in the south of Lebanon, south of Sur, or Tyre. Sur is the city's Arabic name, Tyre is the English name. Up here, though, is Beirut. Now, Beirut's the red line for the Iranians. The Iranians are very protective of Lebanon. They have been protective of Lebanon throughout these negotiations. Bombing in Lebanon for Iran is tolerated to the extent that Israel limits the bombing to basically south of Sur, maybe as north as Sidon, okay? But they don't, Iran does not want to see any bombing up here in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. This is what Israel, according to media leaks, and basically an outright threat by the Prime Minister last night, who himself was strangely brought in for a dental surgery at 11 p.m. That sounds normal. Anyway, of course, Netanyahu has been treated twice for remittent prostate cancer within the past 2 years. Both treatments kept secret from the public when they initially happened. The point is, the red line for the Iranians, so the situation in Lebanon and between Hezbollah and Israel is directly relevant to the negotiations between the Iranians and the Americans, because the Iranians have a very firm condition, outside of all the other conditions in the deal, and the firm condition is an end to hostilities across all fronts, including specifically Lebanon. Not a ceasefire between the government of Lebanon and Israel, a ceasefire between Hezbollah and Lebanon. The IRGC Quds Force represents the interests of Iran in Lebanon, and they work through Hezbollah. So Iran, as part of negotiations, has drawn a red line. Any Zoom today read hearing? Mr. Sweeney, that is a very good question. I heard that there is a Zoom hearing, but the rule, and that is at 2 p.m. The rules for those are quite strict, though. They do not allow live broadcasting. First of all, it's great to see you. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Sweeney. I will, if the court provides permission, record that, though, and upload it immediately after. But most of those civil hearings in front of Judge Gildea, he has very strict requirements, and it's always the same thing. He issues a mandate under 119 and says, this is court hearings, by the way, in the Karen Reed, Aiden Turtleboy Kearney defamation case that's in Barnstable, I think, but it got moved by order of the court in front of Judge Gildea, who's also overseeing the other Karen Reed civil hearings. The point of this, though, is that this will be a Zoom hearing where Judge Gildea will likely put up his normal screen, which says you can record but not live stream the hearing. I think it's scheduled for 2 p.m. if I recall correctly. Either way, I'll make sure that gets recorded and uploaded for you, Mr. and Mrs. Sweeney. Moving back to international news now. Let me just take you through what has happened over the past 14 hours, because it really was, I wouldn't say it was an outrageous series of events, but it was a rapid series of developments. So let's just take you back to where it all started. There were some rumblings about explosions in Bandar al-Abbas. Now, if you know, if you follow this street, My pleasure, Mr. and Mrs. Sweeney. God bless both of you. If you follow this stream, you'll know exactly where Bandar al Abbas is, right? Take a look behind my head. That's the Strait of Hormuz. Bandar al Abbas is north of Keshev Island. It's right here. There's reports day to day during this ceasefire of explosions in these various areas. So what I try to do is screen out the static from the noise. Explosions can be detonation of, more alerts. Silent dogs, ring the alarm. Here it comes. Get ready for it. It should be in about 2 seconds. It snapped me back. Where's the alert? Come on now. Why did you snap me back if there's no alert? I'm offended. How dare you? Why did you snap me back if there's no new alert? Very strange. Maybe it's just not updated yet. All right, the point is, though, let's go back to what I was talking about. So there's a lot of explosions that get reported in Bandar Abbas in this area. Sometimes air defenses will go off in, like, Homs, which is to the south of Tehran, which is the Iranian capital. So Tehran's there. Homs is to the south. Chris, it's so good to see you, my dear friend. God bless you and all of the people of Greece. Good morning. This is an early morning towel breakfast news catch-up stream. You're going to get a lot of information very, very quickly. So, hello, Wayne Allen. It's great to see you as well. So there is a lot of anti-aircraft activity that occurs during the ceasefire, and explosions of undetonated ordinances from the 40-day war. However, last night was a little odd. Last night was an actual attack. The best that I have been able to discern is what happened was there was a boat that tried to go through the Strait of Hormuz without the permission of the IRGC. That's one version. The other version is 2 IRGC speedboats went into the middle of the Strait of Hormuz and tried to lay more mines. It's already heavily mined. Either way, whether there was an IRGC attack on a boat or whether the IRGC tried to lay mines, that resulted in a U.S. retaliatory strike in this area right here against those boats. In return, the Iranians then shot down an MQ-9 Reaper drone doing surveillance over Bandar Abbas and fired at an F-15 that was flying in the area. The U.S., for their part, then struck 2 areas, one in a surface-to-air missile site near Bandar Abbas Airport, and then also a few of the boats that were striking U.S. positions. That was the end of the conflict, but I want to show you how it played out in real time. Let me go back to the initial report from, I believe it was, give me 1 second, Vahid online. So when I'm monitoring this, I'm not just looking for reports of explosions, I'm looking for people in Iran who are reporting it through sources that I have known to be accurate before. So let's take a look at how these reports came in real time last night, around 11:40 p.m. local time in Tehran. Go ahead, British reporter.
Conversation. Now, Received messages about the sound of explosions heard in Bandar Abbas, Iran. The sound of bombs. Bandar Abbas at 23:40. Bandar Abbas heard 3 loud explosions now. Just now at 23:40, 3 loud explosions were heard in Bandar Abbas. It was near the Shikari base or the airport, I think. Bandar Abbas 23:40, 3 loud explosions. Haji 23:40th, 3 loud explosions east of Bandar Abbas. Exactly the sound of explosions from the 40 days of war. Hello, just now, Bandar Abbas, there were 2 explosions. Bandar Abbas, around 23:40, there were 3 explosions towards the airport. Greetings, dear Vahid. Bandar Abbas 11:42, 3 bangs. Bandar Abbas, 11:40. A loud explosion and shaking. We heard 3 explosions in a row Bandar Abbas.
So that's how the news started to filter in last night. Then I'll take you through sort of the process of figuring out what happened. While that was occurring, this was going on in South Lebanon. I want you to be aware some of these clips will be very loud. It is early in the morning. If you are wearing headphones, you probably want to be aware that these videos will be loud. This was southern Lebanon as this flurry of activity was occurring in southern Iran. Didn't have the explosion that I expected, so the sound warning was unnecessary, but important to give you it anyway. After that raid occurred, though, there were multiple people, this person is rescued alive. It is a young child. Anytime you hear Israel talking about striking Hezbollah targets in South Lebanon, I just want you to remember that they either miss sometimes or are not targeting Hezbollah, because that is a child who is alive, thank God, being rescued from the rubble of that bombing you just saw last night. That child was rescued alive from underneath the rubble. So, I'm sorry, I don't understand why Israel violates the ceasefire and then Hezbollah retaliates, and then Israel blames Hezbollah for violating the ceasefire. What is Hezbollah supposed to do? The Lebanese army is not going to do anything to protect these civilians. What are they supposed to do? Just sit there and let Israel do this? Hezbollah attacks military targets for the most part. Yesterday they broke the pattern after Israel started doing this, because Israel has been killing a lot of civilians during the ceasefire. That's just the reality on the ground. I've seen the primary source videos. Hezbollah retaliated for the first time yesterday with a drone on a house. I'll show you that now. Actually, before we go there, let me show you some scenes from the first day of the Hajj. It's actually a multi-week-long pilgrimage. It's one of the, it's actually a mandatory duty of those of the Muslim faith, if they have the means, to do this once in their lifetime. They go to Mecca, the pilgrims, and there's a bunch of different events that occur. They kiss the black cube in the middle of Mecca. They do a fast walk between two mountains 7 times. They go into like a field and like a plain, and they sleep overnight. I'm not explaining all of the 7 days or 5 days of rituals correctly, but it's a very sacred event. And there are a lot of people that go to Saudi Arabia, in particular Mecca, and I'm going to show you some of those pilgrims now. That's a lot of people. Looking at scenes from yesterday in Mecca in Saudi Arabia. So as these explosions were coming in, also there was an attack in the north of Iraq against anti-Iranian positions in Erbil that resulted in 9 Kurdish fighters being wounded, with 4 left in critical condition, after 2 drones and a missile targeted a camp belonging to the PAK, the Kurdish Freedom Party, near Erbil. That's from Ruda English. That was last night. So, as I mentioned, the explosions continued to come in for about 30 minutes. They ended pretty quickly, but they did come in fast and hard. Here is a almost incredible picture. It's a private wedding ceremony in Tehran during the war, and there's an American bombing occurring in the background of this couple's private wedding ceremony in Tehran. Dennis Simpson, it's so good to see you. How are you? Yes, that is Mecca. This picture that you're looking at on the screen now is Tehran a few weeks ago during the 40-day war. And there's actually a wedding ceremony taking place at a private venue where there are bombs falling in the background. So I thought that was a very interesting picture. The war manifest in so many ways. Really, truly. Almost an incredible image, but also the war manifest. Life did go on in Tehran, but it was certainly different. In Iranian domestic news, Dr. Mohammad Bagher Khalibaf was reelected as the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament. He was a key member of the Iranian negotiating team during both the 2025 negotiations and also the recent round and ongoing round of negotiations between the U.S. and Iran, mediated by Qatar and Pakistan. He secured 235 votes out of 276 cast. God bless you, Dennis. Dennis says, thanks for joining in. Please remember to like and subscribe. Smash the notification bell, and you own it. That you are the best. Oh, thank you so much, Dennis Simpson. God bless you. Now I'll take you, as I mentioned, Hezbollah did strike a house in Metula in the north of Israel yesterday. This was one of the first attacks on a civilian target by Hezbollah during the ceasefire. They mostly strike Israeli army positions, Iron Dome interceptors, etc. I'll show you more of that footage, but this was the first strike yesterday. This was not released by Hezbollah. This was recorded in Metula in northern Israel. Hello, it's so good to see you. We are monitoring very closely Menota Zionist. Good to see you. We're monitoring very closely. You're looking at the latest images from Metula that came in yesterday, Monday, May 25th, 2026. This was around 11:37 a.m. local time. This was an attack on a civilian house, one of the first Hezbollah attacks on a civilian house in the northern settlement since the ceasefire began over a month ago. Now, yes, it's a very small drone, but what's fascinating about this situation is Israel, I don't really understand how they're going to continue this war of attrition against Hezbollah. They're in a very difficult position because Hezbollah has drones that the Iron Dome is just fundamentally unable to intercept. And it puts this strange status quo in place where if Israel escalates its attacks on civilian infrastructure or civilian targets in Beirut or otherwise in Lebanon, then Hezbollah has the ability to retaliate. More alerts, alerts. Tell Silent Dog, tell Silent Dogs, we have alerts. We have another drone. It's to the northeast of Adimat and to the northeast of Nidatanya. I repeat, we have more alerts just now in the north of Israel. Now, Israel has put out a warning, as I was about to culminate to the residents in the north this morning, telling them to expect increased attacks because Israel is going to try to expand its attacks in Lebanon. Who pays the price for that? Civilians in the north of Israel who are completely unprotected from these fast-moving $500 to $1,000 Hezbollah drones that are now thermal guided and thus can attack anytime, day or night. So it's a tough situation. Those alerts you hear now, again, are for a hostile aircraft, which is a drone, which is not the one you're looking at on your screen, but it's actually a relevant piece of footage to be showing you. As the drone alert happens in real time, I'm showing you footage from yesterday of what these drones do. They can target almost anything. They can target civilian houses, they can target interceptor positions, they can target army positions, they can target tanks, they can target armored personnel carriers. It has single-handedly, these drones, shifted the what's called rules of engagement, or frankly, the state of affairs on the ground in the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah in the south of Lebanon and the north of Israel. Good morning, Ann Fallon. It's so good to see you. Yes, a cup of coffee in the morning is certainly what we need. As Macho Man Randy Savage might say, Silent Dogs, a cup of coffee in the big time. Can you tell us the difference, how much damage shrapnel would cause and how much more a drone can cause? So, excellent question, Dennis Simpson. While we're analyzing this piece of footage, which is very relevant to the drone alert in northern Israel that happened right now, this is from yesterday, but it's the same kind of drone probably. A drone is cheap. It's a one-time use. Obviously, all rockets and missiles are one-time use for the most part. But a drone is like a cheap piece of technology. It's about $500 to $1,000. A drone can be guided in a number of ways. It can be guided kind of conventionally, as you might know, like a guy with a headset on, kind of flying it through a wireless connection. It can be hooked up to what's called a fiber optic cable, where like the cable unspools as the drone flies. It's much more instantaneous communication, harder to jam, etc. Then the other question is the payload. The payload you're seeing delivered on that drone is a very small payload. It's about the size of a grenade, maybe a little bit bigger. The drones do have the capacity to inflict damage and cause casualties and injuries, absolutely. But they're not akin to a missile, or even the smallest types of missiles that Hezbollah has. When you hear a missile alert, that is automatically like a tenfold increase in the potential for damage. Oh, another drone alert. Silent Dogs, get the alarms. We have another drone alert incoming. I told you it was incoming. I'm pressing in that way. This drone is to the northwest of Matat, so it looks like there's very active hostilities occurring to the south of Ramaya and to the south of Tyre Harfa in Lebanon, and to the northeast of Nidatanya, in particular to the northeast of Adimat, and to the northwest of Matat. So this line of confrontation is very active, and remember, as I'm analyzing this, when you see a drone alert in orange, that is more what's on the screen. If you hear a drone alert, that is a smaller aircraft piloted by a remote Hezbollah soldier, oftentimes carrying a smaller payload. If you hear a rocket alert, which will be red on the map, that is a very serious situation. The smallest rockets are 10 times as powerful as those drones. The rockets, though, cost a lot more money. Hello, Neo-Mortal Girl. Yes, there is shelling occurring in the north of Israel. Not shelling, let me rephrase. Drone attacks occurring in the north of Israel. There has been an uptick in the pace of drone attacks. You're actually seeing yesterday, one of yesterday's drone attacks, primary source footage of it. The pace of those attacks has increased rapidly. Israel last night issued a threat that it was going to bomb South Lebanon and Beirut, so it caused a mass evacuation. Hezbollah is on a war footing because Israel is very concerned, apparently, about the peace deal between the U.S. and Iran that's about to be announced. So, yes, well, Neo Mortal Girl, my analysis of this is that Iran and the U.S. have enough leverage over Israel to stop the conflict in Lebanon. They do. I believe that. I believe Israel under Bibi, because remember, Benjamin Netanyahu is on trial right now in Jerusalem District Court. The only way he can avoid going to prison domestically is to stay in power. The Knesset, the Israeli parliament, dissolved itself last week. Early elections will be scheduled within the next probably 80 days in Israel, and the Change Coalition, even if one of the Arab parties gets outlawed, as Netanyahu wants to do on his way out, the Change Coalition, with even 15 of the 17 Arab party seats, has enough to overthrow Netanyahu in the elections. The elections will occur a few weeks earlier than scheduled, probably sometime in September of 2026. Benjamin Netanyahu's only hope to stay in power is prolonging the war. It's in no one's interest, not the Gulf states, not America, not Iran, not Pakistan, no one, for this war to continue. As a result, Israel's going to do some lashing out, and Hezbollah will retaliate, but both Iran and the U.S., in my opinion, will contain that lashing out, and this will be the sort of culmination to the end. That's my analysis. And Bibi is going to lose his mind. He's literally going to lose it, because he's not going to be able to understand how there's a new geopolitical world order that doesn't involve his input whatsoever. And he's going to freak out, because he can't just attack Iran. He doesn't have the defenses. He doesn't have the resources. He doesn't have the troops. He doesn't have the allies. He needs the U.S. So, thank you, Neo Mortal Girl. God bless you. So that's my opinion on that. Let's continue with our update, though. We're not in a rush today. I do have to reschedule my medical appointment that I missed last week, because I can't just leave this procedure. It's a follow-up, actually. But that's not for a few hours. No one's awake at 7:30 in the morning. Here's actually a strike. So what happened, to the best of my understanding, last night in Bandar al-Abbas was that the U.S. struck a surface-to-air missile site that shot at its jet. And you're seeing the smoke from that strike near the Bandar Abbas airport rising up in that picture. Personally, I think it's a good peace deal. If the U.S. had won the war, or even succeeded in taking out all of the Khamenei bloodline, I would be saying this is a terrible deal. Based on how Iran was able to fire its missiles constantly at Israel, we were getting to a point where they were going to cause serious damage, and this war had to end. Bibi might not want it to end, but he's not making rational decisions, in my opinion, on behalf of the Israeli people. He's being selfish. And he was using his civilians like a shield, to the point where Tel Aviv was getting bombed on the regular, and they could do nothing about it. Those Khorram Shahar 4s are nothing to be messed with. And no matter how much the Western press wants to black it out, no matter how much Washington doesn't want to talk about it, I tracked every single missile launch during that war, 40-day war, every single one, as you all know. And I can tell you with certainty that Iran has more capacities than it has deployed. It has the ability to strike at will in Israel without the ability of either David Sling, Arrow, or Iron Dome to intercept. Remember, Israel has a 3-layered interceptor system. The best that they have, Arrow or David Sling, will be able to intercept an intermediate range ballistic missile. Nothing that they have can intercept Khorram Shahar, which is a multiple re-entry vehicle warhead missile that splits into 80 bomblets 7 kilometers from its target and is impossible to intercept. I'm actually concerned that the Iranians have something similar to what the Russians have, which is an upgraded version of the Khorram Shahar that fires 36, not bomblets, but 150 kilogram warheads that could be nuclear tipped. Yeah, interceptors are useless against multiple re-entry vehicle warhead missiles. That's my analysis. The whole notion of a security blanket over the Middle East by the U.S. and Israel has collapsed. And the biggest byproduct of where we are in this war is that American military prestige and soft power is taking a serious hit to protect not even Israeli strategic interests, but solely Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'm sorry, this is 250 years of representative democracy, and we're not throwing it away because Benjamin Netanyahu is having a temper tantrum because he got caught being corrupt domestically and is going to go to jail without a war. That's freaking absurd. It's absolutely absurd. I'm offended by the very notion of it. I know the realpolitik of this to a T, and I'm clearly in a mood. All right, let me show you a summary of the strikes on Lebanon yesterday. Thank you to Courtney Boneo for this, and then I'll show you some video from those strikes. British reporter Towel, would you be so kind?
Conversation. Summary of Israeli attacks on Lebanese territory on May 25, 2026. South, Arab Salim, 3, Kabrika. Shahor. Kaifa Raman. Marub. Kalila, 2, Yama al-Shakif, 3, Zebdan. Sawana. Mifdan, 3, Shahabia. Zichan. Anan. Mansuri. Kaifa Jews. Froon. Zortar al-Sharkiya, 10, between Zortar and Deir Saran. Deir al-Zarani. Tibnan. Kana. Burj Kalawiya. Ramali Sawa. Al-Haush. Rashidia. Kalvariyat al-Ruz. Sultaniya, 4, Kafra, 3, Haris, 2, Ali al-Taha. Sadiqwan. Rashganania. Al-Madina Industrial Area, Tyre. Residences, 2, Haruf. Al-Tiri. Rishaf. Habush Kaifa Raman. Al-Rayan. Al-Duwar, 2, Toul, 2, Yatir, 5, Nabatieh, 7, Arzun. Drone strikes, Al-Qadala, 2, Tibnan. Nabatieh, 2, Haruf. Kaifa Jal. Al-Shahabiyah, 2, Al-Sharkiya. Al-Gandoria. Al-Sawana. Al-Kafur. Al-Bazuriya, Wadi Jillo, 2. Artillery shelling, Kaifa Tebnit. Nabatieh al-Fuka. Anan. Burj Kalawi. Zortar al-Ghabia. Zortar al-Sharkiya Kaifa. Hadatha. Mifdan. Haris. Al-Mansuri. Al-Kalila. Zichan. Yatir. Tulan. Sadiqwan. Majdalzun. Balar. Al-Jamama. Safad al-Batik. Barashit. Shakra. Srifa. Majdal Salim. Dibine.
That's how long it took to summarize, to go over the attacks on Lebanon by Israel just yesterday. And let me show you just one piece of footage captured by the incredible Courtney Boneo, one of the few English-speaking reporters in the south of Lebanon, of just one of those like 60 attacks, 70 perhaps. Absurd levels of attacks. And that's why I don't... Hello, FM. Good to see you, my friend. That's a lot of cities. I agree, Mike Johnson. And that's why I've never, ever believed this rhetoric coming out of Tel Aviv, that Hezbollah is necessitating Israel doing this. It is completely disproportional. Every day, and you have these reporters like Zena Kador and Courtney Boneo and others in South Lebanon trying to be like, hey, look at these images, look at what's happening, and then still the Israeli government puts out this narrative. It's really starting to frustrate me that they're just responding to Hezbollah's attacks. They are not. They are not. They are engaging in disproportionate levels of violence in South Lebanon, which is compelling the only military in South Lebanon that can protect the people to do something, which is Hezbollah. Let's take a look at the scenes from around Iran last night.
آنچه که شما بهش اشاره کردید کاملا درست هست. در طول روز گذشته و امروز حتی شاهد حضور پهپادهای دشمنان ملی.
Yeah, but Silent Dogs, in what war does that not apply? Exactly, Mike Johnson. Far be it from any government to lie to its people or the world.
ایران بودیم دیروز برخورد قاطعی صورت گرفت و اتفاقا امروز هم من جلسه ای رو داشتم با برادر خوب و عزیز و مجاهدم سردار عبداللهی و هم خوب هست همینجا اشاره بکنم ضمن سپاس از تلاش‌های مجاهدانی برادران خوبم در قرارگاه همون زمانی هم که ما اتفاقا با هم جلسه داشتیم برادر.
Just showing you some of the rallies around Iran last night. Now let me show you the actual footage of the air defenses firing over Bandar Abbas last night. This is from Iran. All war is a racket, and it is mostly a crime. I tend to agree with that. This is the actual air activity from over Bandar Abbas last night. No sound, just the actual anti-aircraft activity. There was also a UAV spotted over Bandar Abbas. This was one of the things that was shot at. You can't really, it's actually right here. It's hard to see, but it's a drone flying over Bandar Abbas. That was one of the things the IRGC this morning said they shot at. Here was Ali Hashem's report. This is how I knew something was really going down. Ali Hashem reported an Iranian source told me the heavy gunfire near Bandar Abbas erupted after the IRGC targeted a vessel at sea, followed by U.S. fighter jets striking IRGC naval boats in the Gulf. According to the source, several IRGC Navy personnel were killed in the attack. Quote, the situation is still unfolding, the source said. Ali Hashem, of course, one of the premier reporters with connections in Iran. Is there any footage of the mines that threaten the coastline? No. So, Dennis, there's no footage of the mines, but sea mines are very dangerous. There's about 12 different types. All of them are almost impossible to detect. Some of them are floating mines. Some of them have torpedoes on them. Some of them just kind of roll around under the surface. Some of them are attached to anchors. You can't really see them, but they're very dangerous, extremely, exceptionally. They're perhaps the most dangerous suite of mines out there, in my opinion. But I'm not an expert on munitions. I'm a towel. So, last night, speaking of Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, I need to just screen this for 1 second. Alright, so last night, Hezbollah through Al Mayadeen released this exclusive footage of their attack on the headquarters of the 401st Brigade near Debel in South Lebanon. The commander of this brigade was seriously injured, not killed, in this attack. So I'm showing you the latest footage now from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Released yesterday, but from an attack on May 20th. Oh, Dennis Simpson, just to answer your question about whether we have sent a diver to map the mines, I believe that the U.S. and the West does have an accurate map of the mines, but they're not sharing it because it's embarrassing tactically. They don't want to admit that Iran has mined the strait, but I believe they absolutely have, and we absolutely have tried to map the mines.
ואנחנו הולכים להביא לפה הרבה מאוד דברים שיפתיעו את חיזבאללה, אם זה רובוטיקה מתקדמת ורחפנות. אני חושב שחיזבאללה חטף מכות קשות מאוד ונפגע במלחמה עד עכשיו בצורה מאוד משמעותית. היכולות אש שלו היום הן הרבה יותר נמוכות ממה שהיה לו בעבר. רואים את זה גם בכמות, גם בדיוק של הפגיעה וגם בחוסר אפקטיביות.
Yeah, so this is unlike anything Hezbollah has released. We're analyzing this, but they've released long-form commentary on the war, like documentaries. They've never done anything like this. The reason we analyze it, obviously, is, one, we're trying to look at what each side is putting out about each other, two, and then comparing it with their official statements, two, or the commentary, the disinformation, the fog of war. Two, there's something big about whatever Hezbollah accomplished with that. They don't actually show anyone getting hit or anything like that, but they're trying to make a point that whatever it is that they did during that operation was a big deal. They had the guy who they targeted, the commander. They had him speaking in the beginning of the clip. That's very rare. Then they showed it's called a KILL chain. That's just a military term for it. They showed all the attacks on that unit's headquarters in South Lebanon. It's kind of a message to my analysis of this is that it's a message that is the Israeli army, when it establishes positions to try to take territory in southern Lebanon, is vulnerable to very high level attacks by Hezbollah. It shows they're not just randomly attacking things they see on the battlefield. They're using intelligence to go after specific unit commanders. That's my best analysis of that. So, when do we expect footage to be released? Is there any specific or supposed date we could see a possible release? CENTCOM sent initial on strikes, but what of Strategic Command, if they released any info? Nothing yet from CENTCOM, but I'll keep an eye on it. Dennis Simpson. I don't think we've seen any footage from the U.S. The one thing I can show you that did come out overnight is actually footage from earlier during the war. It's very rare that this kind of thing gets released. Frankly, I'm a little bit shocked that someone did release it. But this is footage, I believe, from during the war of an American HIMARS system firing, I think it's out of Kuwait. You almost never see anything like this. I'm going to play it muted because I think it has like a background track. Yeah, it does. You almost never see anything like this. This is definitely an American military soldier with like a, I think that's called, it's like a plushie, but there's a specific name for like a Japanese plushie. It's like a Weibo thing, like people who are interested in Japanese anime culture. I don't know why the Weibo like plushie's out in the field, bro. I was a little bit perplexed by it to be honest with you. But you know, those are American missiles. They're very powerful. That's what America sort of uses to attack. It doesn't attack from ships all the time. It will use missiles from like Allied soil. I think this is Kuwait. And it will just fire a lot of them. They're very powerful. Very rarely do you see American missile launches because it's an incredible violation of OPSEC. Frankly, I don't know how the hell this even got out. I don't know why the American soldier has that doll. I don't know why this got released. It's probably from a few months, like a month ago, maybe more, in March, I would say, probably mid-March. It's without a doubt very dangerous for a number of reasons to release this. One, it's not a good idea for Kuwait or any country really to like have demonstrable evidence out there that they were facilitating the launch of American ballistic missiles from their soil, and that's what this is. The Iranians are going to get very mad. That's why, if you're wondering why was Iran bombing Bahrain and Qatar and Saudi and Kuwait and Iraq, it's because Americans and the Israelis were firing missiles from those countries' territory. It's a very big deal. And launching aircraft, etc. HIMARS, yes, HIMARS, HIMARS. They're American missiles. The big deal with this, though, is you almost never see this kind of footage unless it's officially cleared by the DoD, because this is like it's a testament to the integrity of the American chain of command that none of this ever got out during the war. But an enemy having access to this in real time would be devastating. 1 second. Frame drop. We're back. Hello, Abatal. Slight frame drop. Yeah, it's a strange acronym indeed. It's hard to say. But yeah, it would not be good if an enemy of America, like in real time, was able to get this, because that's giving away the launcher positions. You see the launchers there? You see them right there? And they're in a bunker, like right near the launchers. And there's a lot of them. That's 6 at once. And I bet all those missiles hit. Last night, the Israeli military, this is what I was talking about just a few minutes ago, told residents of Kiryat Shimona, one of the villages in the north, that there's going to be intense overnight activity and that they should expect attacks. There wasn't really that intense activity overnight, which kind of tipped me off that I think America and Iran are very close to a deal, because although Israel is still bombing, it did not bomb Beirut. That would have told me that things had hit the fan, and there have been no bombings in Beirut of which I am aware. So let's take you back to the part of the update we were before. I showed you the Hajj, showed you the update about the situation in Erbil, I showed you the picture, I showed you the update on the Iranian parliamentary speaker, I showed you the drone hit on Metula yesterday, I showed you the strike on Bandar Abbas, I showed you the update from Courtney Buneo. Let's take a listen now to this interview the Gray Zone did. It's just a short clip. This has to do with a Hezbollah official talking about the video we just watched and how they used intel to target an Israeli commander. Let's take a listen. Short clip.
Yesterday, Israel admitted that Colonel Mir Biderman was critically injured in a Hezbollah drone strike. He is the senior most Israeli casualty of the war so far, and the unit he commanded, the 401st Armored Brigade, is infamous for having killed a young Palestinian girl, Hind Rajab. Can you tell us anything more about this operation?
عمليات المقاومة في الحقيقة جزء منها ميداني وجزء منها له علاقة بالاستعلام وبالتقصي لناحية وجود ضباط كبار. ما حصل في اليومين الماضيين ليس جديدا. الإسرائيلي يتعمد إخفاء الحقيقة، لكن عندما تظهر إلى الإعلام يضطر إلى أن يتحدث أو يتكلم عنها. في الحقيقة إنجازات المقاومة على عدة صعد، منها فيما يتعلق بمواجهة وقتل الجنود أو جرح الجنود وصولا إلى ضباط، على مثل ما حدث لهذا الرائد الإسرائيلي ومثل ما حدث إلى قائد اللواء الذي أيضا استهدف. أحدهما اللي هو الرائد والذي استهدف في القوزح لم تكن عملية عسكرية بقدر ما كانت عملية أمنية. أما فيما يتعلق بقائد اللواء لا، هي كانت عملية متعمدة، حيث استعلمت المقاومة عن وجوده وعن مكان نومه أو استراحته واستهدفته بالخصوص وبوجود أشخاص آخرين، لأنه ما كان يعني قائد اللواء لم يكن لوحده، كان مع مجموعة. هلا هذه المجموعة كانوا باجتماع، كانوا بعملية تقييم للوضع. هذا أمر شو بقولوا مغفول عنه.
Wow, so it was a deliberate targeting. Silent Dog says the HIMARS is a tactical system. It can be moved around quickly like other infantry systems. It has rubber wheels like a heavy truck. Good morning, Kanapi. It's so good to see you, my dear friend. God bless you. We're just getting caught up on what was quite an intense night of activities, and there's more strikes in southern Lebanon and northern Israel right now. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Thank you all very much for tuning in this morning to Breakfast with Tal. It's so good to get caught up with some of you, at least in the early morning part of the day where I am here in Boston. Let me take you through the evening hours. So we took a look at that Hezbollah clip. I'll show you more footage now from South Lebanon. There is a sound warning. This could be loud. This was last night in South Lebanon. That sounds like carpet bombing. Dennis Simpson, great question. So the Iranian missiles, their biggest missiles can cause a serious amount of damage. I'll show you some footage in a second. This, what you're listening to right now, is from South Lebanon last night. Thank you, Tal Mamlin. This is a little bit loud. So you're listening to footage from last night of what is an incident carpet bombing by the Israeli IDF on South Lebanon. Now, I will show you the footage from Arad. Dennis, my pleasure. God bless you, Dennis Simpson. I'll show you the footage from Arad because I think that will give you some sense of just what a small, quote-unquote, Iranian ballistic missile can do. There are bigger Iranian... Hello, I'm Atal. Good to see you. Another little bit of a frame drop. It's not even really that stormy here. Sometimes I just get random frame drops. If it ever happens, it'll last at most 4 to 6 seconds. I want to show you the footage from Arad, though. I do think that footage is important. I think it's a good example of the strike capacities of the Iranians. Yes, we're back. Hello, good to see you all. So I want to show you just a little bit of the damage from Arad, and then I think that will be a good indication of what those missiles can do. So I think I only have, let's just show a quick one. It's so those are pictures. I'm looking for an actual overhead drone view. I did have a drone view of the Arad impact. Yeah, yes, here we go. It's on a drone view, but it's on the ground. So this is what the Iranian missiles can do. This is one 565 kilogram warhead that hit Arad. This was the only time they launched this kind of missile during the war. This is what it can do. This was one missile.
أعراض إسرائيل بقاع يشرة طلعوا لبيش بقاع شرة.
Oh, I would say Iran. So this was a 565 kilogram warhead, about 1,000 pounds, going Mach 5 probably when it hit. I would say Iran's largest weapons are 5,000 kilograms, about 10,000 pounds, and they go Mach 5. It was translator Tal, and yes, Dennis Simpson. So that's why I don't like when it's not appropriate for any government to try to just completely ignore what Iran has in terms of ballistic missiles. They have a lot of those missiles. They only fired one. That was a warning. That missile at Arad, which is near the Negev, it's near Beersheba. It's to the east of Beersheba. That was a warning that they have the capacity to do that. That missile hit hard ground between apartment buildings and took out like 7 of them, 4 to 5 floors each. Just destroyed. This was, I want to just remind you, this was a single missile. It took out like an entire block of apartments. Silent Dogs, you and the dogs have a wonderful time outside. God bless both of you. And Dennis Simpson, thank you again for your excellent question. And I do think it's important, actually, I have some more views here from Arad, just to show folks, here's the drone footage. This is what just one Iranian missile did. Do you see the impact crater down there? It's about 50 feet by 50 feet. I'm not kidding you. Those are humans. That is the impact crater from a 565 kilogram warhead. Now you might say, but why didn't it hit the buildings? Because the point is not for it to hit something. It's a kinetic weapon. It uses force equals mass times acceleration. It slammed into very hard ground right here, and it used that as a backstop. Because remember, this thing's traveling at Mach 8. That's Mach 5 probably when it hits. So that's something like 3,000 miles an hour, 3,000 miles an hour or so, way faster in kilometers an hour. It uses the 465 or 565 kilogram warhead plus the speed, and then it generates a blast outward that destroys a serious amount of circumference, and that's why the missile is so damaging. You don't need, per se, nuclear weapons when you have like cluster bomblets that can fall constantly and like keep people awake all the time. And you don't need nuclear weapons when you can launch. So if they launched a 5,000 kilogram warhead, which they could have, and it hit right there, there would be no buildings standing. That whole area would be leveled. And I don't think people were, the U.S., I was doing my best to convey it to people, but the U.S. was downplaying the Iranian ballistic missile threat on purpose. They were blacking it out. And it was disturbing. Those aren't windows, those are entire facades of the apartment. It ripped through the concrete. I could show you this was the only time the Iranians did this, and it was to send a message that they have this capability. They only deployed this missile once. I want to show you just some. I mean, this was probably the most devastating impact that occurred during the entire war in Israel. There were a lot more places that were hit more often, but nothing like this. It was devastating. The kinetic impact from that strike shook people's houses, like very far away from the blast. This is what it did to the insides of the apartments. This is inside one of those apartments. So it doesn't cause a fire as much as it uses force to just wreck everything around it. And they only did this once, but what it did was so devastating that it caused like a blackout. People did report on it, but Mr. President Trump has seriously downplayed, I think to his detriment, the capacities that the Iranians have with their ballistic missiles. They're incredibly dangerous. Iran, for its part, confirmed that they shot down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone last night and fired at an F-35 and an RQ-4, per Tasnim news agency. So that was the flare-up last night. The U.S. Army, continuing its interventionist adventures, this is the IRGC, and aggressive behavior, entered Iranian airspace in the Persian Gulf region, and the IRGC air defense units, in defense of the country's territorial integrity and after precise intelligence monitoring, identified and shot down an MQ-9 drone. The IRGC air defense units also fired at an RQ-4 drone and the invading F-35 fighter jet, forcing them to flee and exit the Iranian territorial airspace. So that was the Iranian summary of what they had been, what occurred last night in the south of Bandar Abbas. Now let's take a listen to the latest statement from Hezbollah released this morning. This is via Kala Walsh, who lives in Beirut or Lebanon. This is the latest statement from Hezbollah. It's
Conversation.
a text statement.
Statement issued by Hezbollah on the centenary of the Lebanese Constitution. On the centenary of the issuance of the Lebanese Constitution, the Lebanese people stand before an important milestone in a moment of intense internal and regional sensitivity. This moment requires, more than ever, adherence to the Lebanese Constitution, as amended following the TAIF agreement, as a binding reference for organizing disputes among the Lebanese, managing the affairs of their state, and safeguarding their unity and sovereignty. It also requires moving past the era of mandates, high commissioners, and foreign guardianship, because that era has ended and will not return to Lebanon under any form or title. Lebanon, as its constitution states today, is a final homeland for all its people, one in terms of land, people, and institutions, within its constitutionally and internationally recognized borders. This finality does not merely mean establishing a geographic entity. Rather, it means, before and after that, the establishment of a true national partnership among all its people, a fair and balanced partnership that preserves dignity, protects rights, and acknowledges the existential anxieties of Lebanese groups, which should not be dealt with as a sectarian issue or a transient political demand, but as a supreme constitutional issue connected to the nature of the state, the meaning of partnership, and the guarantees of coexistence. Lebanon cannot be a final homeland for all its people through slogans, but through protecting its land and its people, through a clear national consensus on rejecting occupation and aggression, and through full adherence to the right of the Lebanese to defend their country, their sovereignty, and their dignity, especially against the occupation and the Zionist ambitions that are clearly evident today. Based on this, all projects of fragmentation, partition, federalization, or permanent settlement, regardless of their labels and pretexts, are confirmed to be in conflict with the essence of the Lebanese constitution and the idea of a unified Lebanon for all its people. A Lebanon in which there is no place for opposing entities within it, nor for sectarian cantons, security zones, or projects of disguised secession that would turn Lebanese diversity into a pretext for dismantling, civil strife, or seeking foreign patronage, threatening the unity of the land, the people, and the institutions. The Lebanese experience has proven that the sectarian system is no longer capable of producing a just, effective, and stable state. Therefore, true loyalty to the Constitution does not come through freezing its articles or dealing with them selectively, but through implementing the constitutional reforms approved by the TAFE agreement in their entirety, without reduction, omission, or political exploitation. At the forefront of these reforms is the clear national goal stipulated by the Constitution. The abolition of political sectarianism is an essential entry point for developing the political and social contract, and ensuring fair and non-discriminatory participation for all Lebanese in managing their homeland and its institutions. The call for the abolition of political sectarianism is not a call for abolishing specificities or bypassing guarantees, but rather a call for building a state of just citizenship that reassures everyone, preserves the rights of everyone, and prevents the monopolization or hijacking of the state, or turning it into a tool of dominance by one party over another. There is no true reform without a true partnership, no true partnership without justice, and no justice without serious development of the political system in line with the Constitution, the spirit of TAFE, and the requirements of coexistence. In this context, we affirm that resistance against occupation and aggression is not a departure from the state nor an encroachment on the Constitution, but is a legitimate national right protected by the principles of the Lebanese Constitution and by Lebanon's Arab and. Well, if you support this document, you know that you will dissolve military wing because for now you're more or less guilty of the events related to
I was trying to read the
If you
end of the
support this
statement.
document, you know.
No, let's try again.
Conversation.
No.
Statement
All right,
issued by Hezbollah
it's
on the
gonna make me
centenary of the
read it.
Lebanese Constitution. Conversation.
It went into a second post, so I have to read the end. No political or governmental decision can strip the Lebanese people of their natural right to defend their land, nor remove the legitimacy from resisting the occupation. The Constitution, which links Lebanon to the charters of the Arab League, cannot be read in isolation from the Arab texts that recognize the right of the peoples to resist foreign occupation, including their right to liberate their land and safeguard their sovereignty. Furthermore, the TAIF agreement, in what it affirmed regarding the necessity of taking the measures needed to liberate Lebanese land, and in what it established of adherence to the 1949 armistice agreement, leaves no room for ambiguity in characterizing the relationship with the Israeli entity as a relationship of hostility, occupation, and constant threat, not a relationship of normalization, surrender, or acceptance of the status quo. Hence, the insistence of some on stripping elements of power from Lebanon in light of continued aggression, occupation, and threats is a departure from the Taif document and the Constitution as amended in accordance with its provisions. What is required today in the centenary of the Constitution is the implementation of Taif and the constitutional text without reduction or selectivity, the protection of Lebanon from aggression, the prevention of foreign guardianship, and the rejection of projects of partition, federalization, and permanent settlement. Lebanon is not built by dictates, nor is it protected by seeking foreign patronage, nor does it stabilize by ignoring the anxieties of its basic components. This occasion must constitute an opportunity to restore the state from helplessness, sovereignty from pawnship, partnership from quotas, reform from selectivity, and unity from projects of fragmentation. It should be an occasion to affirm that Lebanon only lives as one and unified, sovereign, and independent, just among its people, resisting the occupation and rejecting every guardianship, mandate, or foreign project that wants the Lebanese to abandon their right to their land, their state, and their future. So, frankly, people talk a lot about how militant Hezbollah is. That's more erudite, just setting aside whether you agree or disagree with the substance. In form, that's erudite than anything almost any American politician has said over the past 20 years. More informed, more historically accurate, whether or not you disagree with the ideological framing, more relevant to the arguments for what constitutional representative government actually is. That's the problem here. We're trying to delegitimize authentic democratic discourse in the name of hegemonic neoliberal values, which are basically just to preserve the economic war machine. And I don't really like that. You're going to fight wars, do it for the right reasons. Don't do it because the economy requires it. Don't do it because you're being compelled to do it due to blackmail. Don't do it because you're trying to protect one person from political ruin and jail. It's absurd. And then I read this, and I'm like, well, that's actually a legitimate sort of framing of the constitutional arguments at play. Why aren't we talking about that? Oh, that's right, because no one actually wants to address the merits. Otherwise, we'd end up with a two-state solution, 1967 borders, Israel out of southern Lebanon, and a new geopolitical alignment in the region that would, frankly, be to the benefit of world peace, but to the detriment of Benjamin Netanyahu. So anyway, that's my analysis. What democracy? I don't think democracy's gone. Representative democracy exists. We're not in a state of world tyranny yet, but representative democracy is teetering on the brink of collapse because of uninformed discourse. If we don't accurately talk about what the politicians are doing and discussing behind closed doors, then then democracy is just a word when the people are starving. So that's why I don't really... You can't give up on the project of representative government, in my opinion, but by the same token, you must realize that it's constantly threatened by a descent. Going back to Book 7 of the Republic, Plato would argue it's constantly threatened by a descent into a very dangerous form of tyranny, but for the cogency of public discourse. So, what is it? Democracy, which is government by the landed interests, degrades into oligarchy, which is government by the wealthy, which degrades into democracy, which degrades into tyranny. It's the universal form of societal organization. And you can kind of, what representative democracy did as an emergence of Enlightenment values in the late 1700s was it sort of short-circuited that natural descent by interjecting representative democracy into that sort of structure so that there would be a perpetual check and balance against an otherwise latent descent into tyranny that all civilizations experience after they go through democratic reforms. Anyway, that's a Platonic reading of it. We got to get the 67 borders, though, in Israel, and Palestine has to be recognized for this to all end. A lot of the militancy comes because of Israel's actions post-67. And you could blame Egypt for that, I suppose, and the other Arab countries for the Yom Kippur War, but frankly, it went a little bit too far. And obviously, 2023 was a disturbing, attempted genocide in Gaza. So, things have gone way too far. The 67 borders must be implemented, and that right-wing government, it's not even right-wing, that selfish Benjamin Netanyahu government in Israel will be gone probably in the fall. So it's just a question of what the new geopolitical realignment will look like, in my opinion. I forget why I was ranting about that. Oh, yes, I was talking about how we don't talk about what actually makes legitimate representative constitutional democracy anymore, which is the cogency of the discourse of the polity as reflected in sort of the symbiotic relationship between representatives in the democracy and the people. If you just don't talk about what the government is doing or don't talk about it accurately, then the government feels completely unaccountable and then democracy is gone. But I don't think we're at that point yet. Yeah, my favorite form of governmental organization is representative democracy with regulated market capitalism. I draw a lot of my insights into how to properly regulate industrial interests from Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, in particular his commentary on the price of wheat in 1791. You can really learn a lot about how to create an effective form of regulated market capitalism by just reading Adam Smith. Who knew? Well, it's a little bit of a secret. Sometimes I go to government regulatory hearings for public comment, and I just read them Adam Smith. It's great. It's wonderful. All right, so let me take you back. That was your little mental decompression break. Let me take you back into the updates. This morning in Kharkiv Oblast, there was a giant explosion near Bayakliva. In that regard, you're about to hear Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, say that he got a call from Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov telling him yesterday that they should really get their people out of Kiev because Russia's about to go on a more expansive attack than even they did the other night. They basically bombed sections of Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, to the ground. It was disturbing. Multiple civilian targets hit, a lot of people dead. And now Russia has put out a diplomatic communique telling the embassies in Kiev, including the U.S., that they should get their people out because they're about to go, whatever you want to call the Russian word for overboard, by destroying even more civilian infrastructure. I think that Russia is potentially going to flatten the city of Ukraine, and they're daring the West and NATO to do anything about it because I think Russia has more of a stranglehold over this U.S. administration than even Benjamin Netanyahu, and I'm disgusted by it. I don't trust those damn commies. I don't trust Putin. I don't trust the Communist Party of China. I don't trust any of them, and I certainly don't want them making geopolitical decisions for the future of Europe. Anyway, let's take a listen to what Rubio had to say about that this morning. He's on his way back from Indonesia.
Let's give it a cold Lavrov. He said in the readout that he's trying to he encouraged the U.S. to withdraw staff from Kyiv. Did you talk to him?
Well, they sent a notice to all the embassies, and I think he was just calling personally to tell me. They told all the embassies to Kyiv's going to be a very dangerous place. Kyiv's been a very dangerous place now for a number of years. Look, the danger in all of these wars as they continue and they go on is that they always have the threat of escalation, of spreading into something new. So I spoke to him yesterday about that and a couple other topics, and obviously that Putin had asked him to call me to relay the message directly to the president, which I did, but obviously we had already seen the notice sent out to all the diplomatic facilities. And I said, right now there is no active, scheduled negotiations ongoing with Ukraine, but the U.S. is always prepared to play a constructive and helpful role if that opportunity presents itself.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'll continue. Let me just show you some of the attacks in the Bekaa last night, where an entire family was killed. Samir Rizik, Hamza Rizik, and his 2 children, Hassan Mansour, his wife, and their 2 daughters were also killed. This is just some of the damage in the Bekaa in southern Lebanon last night, where multiple children were killed following Israeli airstrikes. Adam, hold on. Oh, right. I think Adam's actually agreeing with Neo Mortal Girl, so. This is the Bekaa. This is in South Lebanon last night. Those are civilian homes. Yeah, I agree with you, Neo Mortal Girl. America's prestige is on the line. That's why Towel's going to run for president. Hashtag Towel for president 2028. That'd be a great president. Going to bring the White House back in terms of its decor to October 1963. I'm having a pool in the press room. And then things like this won't be happening. I won't stand for it. I will not stand for it. You want military aid, you cannot bomb civilians. It is non-negotiable. Taking you to Russia now, where their army unveiled a new batch of Su-35 fighter jets. Yes, Shannon, and a ballroom full of goats. You got it. Su-35 jets in Russia. There was a strange false alarm to the east of Gaza today in Israel. IDF declared it a false alarm. Here's footage from that Hezbollah released 5 hours ago. It's from May 19th. It shows a strike on an IDF vehicle in Misav Gam in the north of Israel. Latest from Hezbollah. 20th Century Foxy, I hope so. Peace by the end of if we could have a peace signing ceremony this week, that would be great. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. I hope you're all doing well. It's just past 8:17 a.m. here in Boston. It is Tuesday, May 26, 2026. Coming off your Memorial Day weekend and Towel Birthday weekend. Hope you all had a weekend where you were able to reflect. If you're in the U.S., honor the memory of the fallen. Spend some time with your families and all of those other wonderful things. I know I had a wonderful birthday weekend, while also spending a little time commemorating the solemn Memorial Day holiday yesterday. Thank you all for your well wishes and messages of support. I'm very grateful, and I do indeed care so much about you all. Really warmed my spirits. One of the first years where I felt so loved and appreciated on my birthday. As I mentioned, it's come past 8:18 a.m. here in Boston, Massachusetts. That's East Coast time. 7:17 a.m. if you're in Central time. And it is, let's go the other way now. So if it's 8:18 a.m. in Boston, that would make it 2:18 p.m. in South Africa. Hello to Towel Girlfriend. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I adore you so much. Hello as well to the rest of you watching from South Africa. You are all wonderful, and I adore you all as well. Furthermore, it is 3:18 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and it is 3:48 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Going back to your updates now, my name is Grant Smith Ellis. There was a statement put out by Iran's Supreme Leader, but before we go there, let us take a look at this report from the town of Mashagra in the western Bekaa from Al Mayadeen. You can see extensive damage in the western Bekaa. There's no commentary, it's just sort of ominous music playing. Extensive, this was from the overnight raids, or bombing raids by Israel in the western Bekaa. Shannon says hello to Towel Girlfriend. Towel Girlfriend is wonderful. That's fascinating, Neo Mortal Girl. Translator Towel says hello to Towel Girlfriend. Interpret Towel, you are wonderful. I hope you're doing well today. My regards to Washcloth. You're looking at extensive damage, though, not during the raid, but the morning after in the western Bekaa. There is no commentary on this. It is just primary source footage with ominous music, but I'm showing you the scope of destruction in the western Bekaa. This is this morning. This is what the residents of the western Bekaa in Lebanon woke up to. I did see that first 48 of the fires still burning on Karg Island. I've been unable to confirm that. But I will keep an eye on it, absolutely. That was the latest from the western Bekaa. We're almost caught up. Here's the statement from, this is a very rare statement to mark the Hajj. The leader of Iran, his name is Ayatollah Sayyid Mohammad Hosseini Khamenei. He released a statement this morning. He released different statements in English, in Arabic, and in Farsi or Persian. I took the Persian version. Now, I just want to show you this. This is the primary source. What I did for you was he posted it over like 70 tweets, okay? This is his Persian account. He posted it over like 70 short tweets, maybe like 40. I compiled them all together. We're going to listen to this speech. It's very rare that he puts out statements. He's only been the Supreme Leader for 2 months. No one's ever seen him speak. He's kind of in hiding. But let's take a listen and analyze it. Let's assume it came from him until we have reason to believe otherwise. And let's analyze how he speaks. This is not the Arabic version. This is not the English version. Those were a little toned down. This is what was released to the Iranian people in Persian. I translated it manually with help into English for you and then compiled it. So let's take a listen. This was just 2 hours ago. From the Iranian leader.
Conversation.
Nope.
Statement issued by
Please reload.
Conversation. Statement by leader of the Islamic Revolution in Iran, Ayatollah Sayyid Mojtaba Hosseini Khamenei. Translated from Persian. The hand of time does not turn back, and the nations and lands of the region will no longer serve as shields for American bases. America will no longer have a safe haven for mischief and the establishment of military bases in the region. The weapon of God is great. It bestowed such strength and power upon the Iranian nation that, following the heart-wrenching event of the martyrdom of the great leader, the worthy successor of the noble messenger, His Eminence Ayatollah al-Uzma Saeed Ali Hosseini Khamenei, at the hands of the villains of today's world, it found divine resurrection. The valiant mujahideen and self-sacrificing armed forces, placing their trust in the divine Lord and by means of their missiles and drones on land, in the air, and at sea, hurled their weapons at the great Satan, namely America, and its trained beast. The Zionist regime, and beheld with their own eyes the fulfillment of God's true promise of victory to the warriors striving in his path. The shaky Zionist regime and the cancerous tumor of Israel have also drawn near to the final stages of their cursed demise, and by the grace of God and in accordance with the decisive and prescient statement of the supremely dignified leader 10 years ago. It shall not see 25 years hence from that date, God willing. This year, the issue of disavowing the polytheists holds double importance, and the depth and breadth of disavowing America and the Zionist regime extend beyond the ritual of disavowal in the season and meeting place of Hajj. And in various parts of Iran and the world and after these blessed days, death to America, and death to Israel, will be the common slogan of the Islamic Ummah and the oppressed of the world, especially the youth. The future belongs to the Islamic Ummah and the new Islamic civilization, and each one of us can play a role in realizing this future and drawing closer to it, to the extent of our own resolve, capacity, and responsibility. It was with the weapon of Allahu Akbar that the valiant warriors and self-sacrificing armed forces, alongside the Mujahideen of the resistance front, especially Deir Lebanon, achieved remarkable victories against the two fully armed terrorist armies, American Zionist, in the Third Imposed War. The Islamic Republic of Iran, relying on the weapon of Allahu Akbar, succeeded in rendering the Zionist regime helpless under its devastating blows in the Second Imposed War in Khordad 1404, delivering a harsh slap to the aggressor America, and thwarting the enemy in its goal of forcing Iran's surrender. 47 years ago, the Muslim nation of Iran rose up with the weapon of Allahu Akbar, overthrew the tyrannical, dictatorial, and dependent Pahlavi regime, severed the greedy and arrogant hands and feet of America from the country, and completely cut off the influence of Zionism. It was the weapon of Allahu Akbar that fortified the threads of connection among the Islamic Ummah and the Mujahid youth of the resistance front, from Iran to Lebanon, Palestine, Iraq, and Syria, from Africa and Yemen to Afghanistan and Pakistan, and all the free nations of the world. The weary Iran, at the threshold of the Islamic Revolution, stepped onto the path of Hijra. It heeded the Abrahamic call of the great Khomeini, shed the garb of submissiveness to dominion, and donned the pilgrim's robes of felicity in this world and the next. It is with the weapon of Allahu Akbar that, following the resurrection of the Iranian nation and the front of resistance, the resurrection of the Islamic Ummah will come to pass. The Islamic Ummah and the nations of the region possess numerous shared capacities and interests that will shape the new order and the future geometry of the region and the world. I, with sincerity and purity, invite all Islamic countries and governments to friendship and cooperation for the good and benevolence, so that together we may strive toward the progress of the Islamic Ummah and the resolution of the issues facing the world of Islam. Iranian pilgrims and Hajj participants in this year's Hajj have an effective and prominent role in narrating the victory of the Third Imposed War to their fellow Muslim brothers and sisters and instilling hope in them for a bright future. I ask all dear pilgrims to earnestly devote themselves to praying for the hastening of the advent of the Saviour of humanity, may God hasten his noble appearance, and to pray for the unity of the Islamic Ummah, the liberation of Palestine and Al-Aqsa Mosque, the alleviation of the great hardships afflicting Muslims, and the attainment of ultimate victory against global arrogance.
Oh, there you go. That's what the Iranian supreme leader had to say. This is a very holy day in Islam. Very different, let me just tell you, very different compared to his Arabic and English statements on social media. The Persian statement is the one you want to read. It is the most intense. Now, Iran was supposed to get its internet back, by the way, but just an hour ago, Iran's Supreme Court overturned that decision. Here's the minister in charge of restoring the internet saying last night she was going to do so. It got overturned this morning. There will be no internet turned on in Iran for the foreseeable future.
به ریاست آقای دکتر عارف تشکیل شد با نام ستاد ویژه ساماندهی فضای مجازی، سازماندهی فضای مجازی، و این ستاد در جلسات مکرری که داشت دیروز به این جمع‌بندی رسید که بازگشایی اینترنت انجام بشود و دیروز هم ابلاغ آقای رئیس جمهور به وزارت ارتباطات انجام شد و امیدوار هستیم که ظرف روزهای آتی انشالله به سرعت بتونیم این حقوق حقه مردم رو به اونها برگردونیم. به ریاست آقای دکتر عارف تشکیل شد با نام ستاد ویژه ساماندهی فضای مجازی، سازماندهی فضای مجازی و این ستاد در جلسات مکرری که داشت دیروز به این جمع‌بندی رسید که بازگشایی اینترنت انجام بشود و دیروز هم ابلاغ آقای رئیس جمهور به وزارت ارتباطات انجام شد و امیدوار هستیم که ظرف روزهای آتی انشالله به سرعت بتونیم این حقوق حقه مردم رو به اونها برسیم.
Yeah, so I don't foresee, I know that the internet will not be turned on in Iran because that decision was overturned by the Iranian Supreme Court this morning. There was more Israeli raids just 3 hours ago in the town of Ali Rihan in southern Lebanon. There was a motorcycle targeted at the Ras Alin Reserve near the Army Center in the Sur district. Iran, for the first time, announced its casualties during the 40-day war. Iran lost 1,800 soldiers and 9,000 were wounded. 1,800 killed, 9,000 wounded. Hezbollah, for their part, was releasing a number of videos to mark Liberation Day. This footage will show a number of different attacks over a number of different years. Let's take a look. I don't think I want to watch these, actually. That's a lot more intense than I was expecting. Let's take a listen to Zena Kador's report from this morning, related to Lebanon, this morning.
That's despite a US brokered ceasefire being in place. Let's cross to Zena Kador, who joins us live now from Lebanon's Bekaa Valley. Zena, just tell us more about these latest Israeli attacks, if you would.
There is still no final death toll simply because people remain missing. As you can see, the excavators still working, digging through the rubble to find at least 2 children. This is what we understand. We are in the town of Mashkhara. This is in the western Bekaa Valley in the east of Lebanon, kilometers away.
Breaking, according to the UK Maritime Trade Office, at 9:45 UTC today, the master of a tanker reports of an external explosion, port side aft, close to the waterline. This was to the east of Muscat, Oman, and to the south of Iran. The crew and vessel are safe, although the master reports some bunker fuel has discharged into the sea. Authorities are investigating. I repeat that there has been an attack 60 nautical miles east of Muscat, Oman. The master of a tanker reports of this was 4 minutes ago reported. It occurred at 9:45 UTC. The master of a tanker reports of an external explosion. This is from the UK Maritime Trade Office. Port side aft, close to the waterline. The crew and vessel are safe, although the master reports some bunker fuel has discharged into the sea. More as I know it. Let's go back to Zena Kador's report from 3 hours ago in southern Lebanon.
From the front lines in southern Lebanon. Late last night, Israel carried out a wave of strikes targeting this town, at least 10 strikes in the span of half an hour. You can see the scale of the destruction. This was a neighborhood, residential buildings. People lived here. So at least a dozen people killed. Search continues for bodies that are under the rubble. This is seen as part of a pressure campaign on Hezbollah because the Israeli military has been trying to change the security situation, pressure Hezbollah to stop using its explosive armed drones that have been targeting Israeli troops occupying southern Lebanon, that have been targeting Israeli positions in northern Israel. And really the Israeli leadership has been under a lot of pressure to deal with the growing threat from these drones. So this is how these attacks are being seen. And these attacks followed statements by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said that the Israeli military is going to escalate attacks against Lebanon. In fact, in his words, the Israeli military is going to put its foot on the gas and not, stop the attack. So people are concerned. It wasn't just here in the Western Bekaa. Late yesterday, we saw a wave of strikes across the southern district of Tyre, the city of Tyre. When they bring down buildings in the city of Tyre, that is also a form of pressure. Nabatihi too was struck, and all the while we are getting a mounting civilian casualty toll. But Hezbollah remaining very much defiant, unfazed, saying that its attacks will continue as long as Israeli troops remain in Lebanon. In fact, Hezbollah Secretary General made it clear how the group sees its end game in this conflict. It will give security guarantees to Israel on condition that security is guaranteed in Lebanon. So Hezbollah is saying it won't accept a one-sided ceasefire. Israel will not be allowed to strike at will when it sees perceived threats like what has been happening for the past 15 months.
And Zainab, with these threats of an expansion of operations, what's the situation in the southern suburbs of Beirut?
Yes, after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made those threats that they would expand operations, the fear in Lebanon was that there will be a resumption of the Israeli military assault on Beirut's southern suburbs. If we remember, at the start of the conflict, in the first few weeks of the conflict, there was an intense, weeks-long bombing campaign that targeted the southern suburbs of Beirut. There were also targeted strikes in central Beirut. So what we saw was an exodus of people from those neighborhoods. Hundreds of thousands of people live there. In recent weeks, people returned to that area. So there is really growing concern. Now, in his statement, Netanyahu did not say where, they're going to expand the operations. But the feeling here is Israel has failed in its strategic objectives. It has not been able to disarm Hezbollah. Its occupation of southern Lebanon has not brought security, neither to northern Israel, nor has it been able to set up permanent positions. So it is that situation on the ground that's raising concern here that we're going to see more attacks like this, disproportionate use of force as a form of pressure.
All right, thanks for that.
That's why Zena Kador is one of the best reporters in the field, probably the best reporter that I have the honor to call a colleague. Let me take you yesterday. So that was the report from southern Lebanon. Let me take you yesterday to the reports from the statement from the spokesman for the Iranian Foreign Ministry. Folks really got his statement about whether Iran won't be charging tolls, will be charging a fee on the Strait of Hormuz or not. Let's just listen to what he had to say with English captions, and then you can see for yourself what the plan is between Iran and Oman for the Strait of Hormuz. This was yesterday, translated into English for you.
ما عوارض نمیگیریم. There is no toll. به نظرم باید در استخدام کلمات دقت کرد. ما به دنبال اخذ عوارض نیستیم. دو نکته رو باید باز من تاکید میکنم در نظر داشته باشیم. یک این که اقدامات ایران و عمان برای تدوین یک پروتکل یا یک سازوکار جهت اطمینان از تردد ایمن کشتی‌ها از تنگه هرمز یک اقدام مسئولانه و مطابق با حقوق بین‌الملل هست، هم برای منافع و امنیت ملی ایران و عمان به عنوان کشورهای ساحلی و هم برای خیر عمومی جامعه بین‌المللی. طبیعی است در این روند خدماتی که ارائه میشه، خدمات ناوبری به اضافه اقدامات لازم برای صیانت از محیط زیست تنگه هرمز و خلیج فارس و دریای عمان، اینها نیازمند دریافت هزینه‌هایی است. بنابراین اینها رو نباید به عنوان تول یا عوارض ازش نام برد. ایران و عمان در این مسیر مسئولانه دارند تلاش میکنن و امیدواریم که هرچه سریعتر به نتیجه نهایی برسیم.
So I think that's important to be actually able to see what he said. They are going to charge fees. There was never an abandonment of this plan to charge tolls. They just couldn't use the word toll. Let's take a listen now to the update after Russia not only threatened to further attack Kiev, but leveled large sections of civilian infrastructure in Kiev. Hello, Tiffany Bob. You have a wonderful time on your way to appointments with your mom. Good morning to you and your towel mom, Tiffany Bob's mom. I hope you're doing wonderful. Tiffany Bob is wonderful. God bless both of you on your day today. I hope you have a very quick trip to the doctor. It goes well. And then appointments, not doctors, any appointments you're going to. I have to deal with a medical appointment today later. In any event, it's good to see you, my friend. Let's take a listen, going back after a very short mental decompression break, to your update on Ukraine. After Russia shelled Kiev to the point of nearly leveling numerous civilian sectors of the city in the past 48 hours, specifically 2 days ago, Saturday night into Sunday, I'm now going to show you the update on Russia's attacks over the last 24 hours on Ukraine. And this is from AKM Mapping, and British Reporter Tal will give us the overview. Please. Go ahead.
Conversation.
Thank you.
Over the last 24 hours, Russia launched 6 Iskander-M ballistic missiles at Ukraine, in 2 waves of 3. This was not a large-scale, combined missile and drone attack, but rather an unusually large number of ballistic strikes. The missiles were launched from the following locations. 2 from Taganrog, Rostov Oblast, targeting the city of Dnipro and the vicinity of Kamianska, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. 1 from Yeysk, Kranodar Krai, targeting the city of Vilnohirsk, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. 1 from Lysky, Voronezh Oblast, targeting the city of Derhachi, Kharkiv Oblast. 1 from Donetsk City, targeting the vicinity of Chutkov, Poltava Oblast. 1 from Crimea, targeting Odessa City. The following targets were hit, each by 1 ballistic missile. PAX, Plastics Compounding and Recycling Facility in Derhachi, Kharkiv Oblast, 50.08335, 36.14245. A military base in the Zastava district of Odessa City, somewhere around 46.47775, 30.66739. The Korsa Logistics Center in Dnipro City, 48.53631, 35.10779. An unknown target near Kamianska, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. An unknown target near Chutkov, Poltava Oblast. An unknown target near Vilnohirsk, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. A lot of mysterious targets with unknown effect.
So that was the overview of the Russian strikes on Ukraine with ballistic missiles in the past 24 hours. I found that very useful and comprehensive. This, by the way, was a screen that started showing up across elevator screens, buildings, advertising, and commercial units throughout Israel. It's a Handel hack thing saying that they have access to Israel's internal and various electronic and display terminals, and it's basically a message that they have access to Israel's internal systems. Not like data, but at least access to shut the terminals down, the banking terminals, the elevators, the fridges, etc. That's true, Lavender and Rose. Netanyahu's son and his wife have an apartment in Florida. Iran, for their part, put out this Lego video in honor of Pep Guardiola. My team's actually this team. I like them very much. It's a Lego tribute to Pep Guardiola. With Erling Haaland crying in the stands. And Pep is a supporter of the Palestinian cause, so this is Iranian art honoring Pep Guardiola, the head coach of the Manchester City Football Club. And he says, I am not neutral, I'm Palestinian. So the Iranians, big fans of Pep Guardiola, apparently. Here's an analysis that was written up in the Haaretz newspaper this morning and summarized. Let me have it read to you by British Reporter Tal. I think this is a pretty accurate summary. Go ahead.
Conversation.
British Reporter Tal.
The military analyst in the Haaretz newspaper. If the emerging agreement between the United States and Iran is signed, it will express a major American retreat from the war raging in the Gulf. It will also reflect a retreat in Israeli influence over the decisions and moves of US President Donald Trump. What is decided in the Gulf will also be reflected in what is happening in Lebanon. For Israel, in complete contrast to the public statements of its leaders, appears to have lost its compass, incapable of finding an exit in the face of Hezbollah. The current Israeli strategy, if there was originally a strategy in Lebanon, has collapsed this time. In summary, Netanyahu seems very far from everything he promised the public regarding the war. For in the Iranian file, he cannot publicly oppose Trump and settles for dull media leaks attributed to political sources that do not dare to hold the US administration responsible. And in Lebanon and Gaza, the tactical achievements of the Israeli army, although some were notable, have not been transformed into a stable and improved strategic reality. Amos Harrell, the 26th of May 2026.
That's a good analysis. It's pretty spot on. Netanyahu comes out of this very weak. Let's take a look now, with the Hajj going on in Saudi Arabia, to some scenes via Hajj News from Mecca. Latest scenes from today's Hajj pilgrimages in Mecca. Now, the Hajj is not just visiting the Black Cube. It also involves walking between mountains very fast. And so I believe that is one of those mountains. I'm not the expert, though. From the Mountain of Mercy in the heights of Arafat, hearts appear like a white wave raising to the sky with the morning of day of Arafah. So, yes, I don't know exactly where that is. I'm not an expert, but I'm working on it. Strangely, the NBA put up an official thing, going to American domestic news. The NBA got itself into a bit of hot water, who knows if it was a glitch or otherwise, by indicating that the New York Knicks will play the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals, although the Oklahoma City Thunder are currently tied 2-2 in their regional semifinal, and are not yet in the finals. The Knicks, of course, swept 4-0 into the finals last night or the night before. But it is a little odd that the NBA team store was caught with Oklahoma City Thunder in the finals, despite the fact that the Oklahoma City Thunder have not won their series in order to progress to that final. If anything will come of that, who knows? If the Oklahoma City Thunder make the final, that's a little odd. If they don't, who knows? Anyway, I thought I would bring that up. Israel, for its part, issued a mandatory evacuation order for the entire town of Nabatayeth just 3 hours ago this morning, before an expected massive wave of attacks. Ben Gvir, the Israeli Prime Minister, had this to say to Mr. President Trump.
אזעקות לתאי ישים, רחפני נפץ, את המציאות הזאת אסור לקבל, אסור לנרמל. אנחנו כבר יודעים איך זה נגמר כשהם מכילים, הם מסתגלים לשגרת טרור. לא הפעם. הטרלול הזה חייב להיפסק. אני קורא לראש הממשלה בנימין נתניהו. תתקשר לטראמפ. תגיע אליו. דפוק אצלו על השולחן. תבהיר שמדינת ישראל לא מוכנה לקבל, לא מוכנה להכיל. אנחנו לא מוכנים להמשיך מערכות, אלא רוצים לנצח אותה. צריך להוריד את החשמל בלבנון. אזעקות לטייס.
He's talking about calling for President Trump to support a massive expansion of Israeli attacks in Lebanon. President Trump has a personal connection to Lebanon, so I don't really foresee that happening. I also don't see the Iranians allowing that to happen. Taking you to some pretty stunning footage now from Ukraine, where a Ukraine interceptor took down a Russian cruise missile, not a drone, a cruise missile, and I'm going to show you the footage now. This is from Ukraine, where an interceptor missile took down a Russian cruise missile. That's what you're seeing. It's incredible footage, frankly. This is a real-time takedown, interception, as you would call it. The cruise missile from Russia tries to come in and hit its target, and the Ukraine interceptor says no chance. That's an incredibly rare piece of footage. To see a cruise missile falling out of the air because of a successful intercept. I mean, you might see an intercept recorded, but to see the cruise missile then just kind of wobbling, very rare. Exceptional footage captured by that person on the ground in Ukraine there of an intercept. And then you can see the cruise missile is just screwed. It doesn't stand a chance. It kind of keeps flying, but it's been damaged to the point where it can't function. Its guidance systems are destroyed. It's flying backwards, basically. It eventually self-corrects a little bit. You see it like manages to self-correct because it's a missile, but it's done at that point. It can't reach its target. It's ineffective. Cruise missiles, yeah, cruise missiles are the slowest, most rudimentary form of missile. They're very outdated. They come from like the 1980s, and they're easy to take down. Now, Mr. President Trump over the weekend was talking about. Mr. President Trump over the weekend was talking about forcing the Arab countries in exchange for ending the war, which, by the way, the U.S. needs as much as the Arab countries need. Forcing the Arab countries to join the Abraham Accord and recognize Israel. The reports, in fact, are that the Arab countries, in particular Saudi, Qatar, and Pakistan, are going to go the opposite direction and form their own regional bloc, which does not normalize relations with Israel as the Abraham Accords does, and instead creates their own sort of regional bloc that expels Israeli interests from the Middle East. Let's take a listen.
لم تنجر لهذه الحرب ولم تقف مع الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية ولم تقف مع إسرائيل كما أنها لم تقف مع إيران ولم تعلن عداءها لا إيران ولا للولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، بمعنى أن السعودية قرأت الموقف وقالت أنا قطب ولا يمكن أن أكون في فلك إيران أو أكون في فلك إسرائيل، وتعمل السعودية وفق هذا المبدأ. هناك قطب عربي إسلامي ولد بقيادة المملكة العربية السعودية يقف معها باكستان في تحالف استراتيجي معلن، وتنضم لها تركيا وتنضم لها قطر. وهذا التحالف الرباعي أو الكونسورتيوم الرباعي شهد يعني ولادته، لكن سيعلن في اعتقادي لاحقا. والسعودية اليوم فرملت ما كان يعرف بالاتفاقيات الإبراهيمية وبدأت تطهر المنطقة من التواجد الإسرائيلي، تحديدا اليمن الجنوبي وأرض الصومال والسودان. أن الدبلوماسية السعودية اليوم تهيئ أيضا لأن يكون هناك اتفاقية عدم اعتداء في المنطقة توقع عليها كل الدول بضمانة دول
إيران ودول الخليج،
بين إيران ودول الخليج ومن يريد أن ينضم بضمانات إسلامية وضمانات دولية. ما فعله الرئيس بايدن عندما خرج عام 2018 الخروج المخزي من أفغانستان، هذا هي الإشارة الحقيقية والإشارة الواضحة على بدء اضمحلال الدور الأمريكي في المجتمع الدولي ككل، بمعنى أن الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية لا تزال هي القوة الكبرى، لكن ليست كما كانت قبل 10
موازين القوة اليوم اختلفت،
موازين القوة تختلف، موازين القوة اليوم تختلف بشكل ملحوظ، حتى أن القوى الصاعدة اليوم على سبيل المثال الهند أو المملكة العربية السعودية أو البرازيل أحد مجموعات ال20 لديها اليوم خيارات جديدة في إقامة أمتن العلاقات مع كل القوى وليس مع الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية فقط.
Yeah, I think that was a good analysis. It's obviously not the Saudi position, but Iran and Saudi are definitely moving to have a non-aggression pact. Absolutely. And that was reported right around the time when that interview was done. I believe that was pretty accurate. Dennis, so good to see you again. I hope you are all doing well this morning. Now let me take you to the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the day of Arafah, which is Eid al-Adha Takbris, from the precincts of the Blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. very peaceful, also a very beautiful image from inside Al-Aqsa Mosque earlier today in Jerusalem. Let's take a look at, by the way, at that threat that Benjamin Netanyahu issued last night. Let's take a look at this Al Arabiya report with English captions done by yours truly, Tao. This was regarding Benjamin Netanyahu's threat last night to expand operations in Lebanon as the U.S.-Iran deal is close to finalization, say sources.
قال إنه أوعز بتشديد الهجمات ضد حزب الله في لبنان. لم يذكر أي من التفاصيل. أيضا الجيش الإسرائيلي كان قد سرب لصحفيين مقربين منه أنه قدم خططا للتصعيد على الجبهة اللبنانية، وادعى أن بنيامين نتنياهو أن المستوى السياسي الإسرائيلي كبح هذه الخطط العسكرية نتيجة لضغوطات من الولايات المتحدة أو نتيجة للتقييدات التي تفرضها الولايات المتحدة.
Israel has just issued more in the past 2 minutes evacuation orders for Mashagada and Samar in the Bekaa.
على التحركات العسكرية الإسرائيلية وحصرها في الجنوب اللبناني. التفاصيل العملياتية لهذه الخطة.
Israel is bombing the Al Qarun Dam. Israel is bombing one of the dams in Lebanon. Oh no.
ليست واضحة حتى الآن، لكن واضح أن هناك تركيزا إسرائيليا إعلاميا وسياسيا وعسكريا واضحا على مستوى التصريحات والتسريبات على العاصمة اللبنانية بيروت. من غير الواضح إن كانت الولايات المتحدة صادقت بالفعل على عملية من هذا النوع أو على استهداف من هذا النوع، لكن في العموم التحريض الإسرائيلي منذ ساعات الأمس له عنوان واحد هو العاصمة بيروت، بينما على أرض الواقع حتى الآن لا يزال الاحتلال الإسرائيلي يستهدف مناطق في الجنوب اللبناني وكذلك مناطق في البقاع. بدأ التصعيد بهذه الأوامر التي استهدفت النبطية. المصادر العسكرية الإسرائيلية تتحدث عن مزيد من الغارات وربما عن مزيد من أوامر الإخلاء خلال الأيام المقبلة إن لم نقل خلال الساعات المقبلة في هذه الأيام المهمة وهي أيام عيد الأضحى المبارك.
So that report was only from a few hours ago, and already it has escalated. I can tell you that Israel has bombed a dam in the south of Lebanon. Yes, Israel has bombed a dam in the south of Lebanon. Okay, I have a lot of things to update you on. So we got caught up on everything I wanted to update you on before this Breakfast with Towel stream started. Now let me take you to the things that have happened since our stream has started. Yes, I'm showing you primary source footage. Israel has started bombing infrastructure in southern Lebanon. Civilian infrastructure. They bombed a dam. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What are they trying to flood the valley? Oh my goodness. They are not about to do this. Wait a minute. I might have to actually stay live with you. I was going to go and set up my medical appointment. No, this is very bad. Why would you bomb a dam? There's only one reason you would bomb a dam, and that's to flood that valley. Am I seriously looking at an image of Israel attempting to bomb that dam and flood that valley? That is very concerning. This is just coming in now. Oh, wow. We might be looking at a potential serious humanitarian catastrophe. That is the Al Qarun Dam. Okay, so all the people that are below that dam, they probably need to leave. I'm not an expert in what happens when a dam gets bombed. That doesn't look like it's a good sign, though. Oh, you're very kind, Dennis Simpson. I will get my procedure rescheduled today. God bless you for that. I will monitor this bombing on this dam. God bless you, Neo-Mortal Girl. Let's just say this only came in 10 minutes ago, but the scenes are very concerning. There was, as I mentioned, that mandatory evacuation order issued 3 minutes ago. Israel, for their part, released footage of a security meeting in the last hour between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Israel Katz, and IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Izel Zamir. Here's footage of that meeting now. No volume. This is the Israeli security meeting that took place in the last hour. As then a dam was bombed in southern Lebanon. It's unclear what happened as a result of that bombing. but it is not good. I don't exactly know if the dam was broken. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the dam held. I don't have further information right now. More footage of the Israeli security meeting, which took place under an hour ago. Taking you now to the ongoing raids in southern Lebanon. These are within the last hour. Hello, Gary. Good to see you. Yes, the situation in Lebanon is not good right now. It is, in fact, escalating to a very serious place. This was the first strike on that dam. This video that I just showed you was actually a second strike on the dam. Okay, so this was the first strike on that dam. This is the Quran Dam in Lebanon. The second strike was directly on the perimeter of the dam. Here's Israel Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich speaking earlier, maybe 30 minutes to an hour ago.
התפכחנו מקונספציות ומקיבעונות וגם מעיוותים מוסריים מעוותים, ואנחנו משנים את המזרח התיכון. מאיראן, שחלשה היום לאין ערוך, לא קרסה, זה יעד, וגם אותו נגשים בעזרת השם. תראו איך עזה נראית. תראו איך נראית לבנון, איך נראה חיזבאללה. אנחנו משנים לחלוטין את המשוואות. אין דבר כזה יותר אוכלוסייה אזרחית כמגן אנושי חי. אם יש טרור בתוך אוכלוסייה, מפנים את האוכלוסייה לשם הגנתה כדי שחלילה לא פגע, ומשמידים את כל תשתיות הטרור. קודם כל את עצמנו.
Iran, for their part, has now claimed that they shot down an American drone overnight. I'll show you the latest report from Iranian TV translated into English. Now, let's take a look. This was released this morning via Iranian TV with English captions I provided for you. I didn't actually do these. I found a video from Rapid Report with English captions.
وقتی آرش‌های پدافند کمان بکشند، پهپاد گران قیمت آمریکا این گونه مانند ضایعاتی بار قایق می شود. آن هم در تنگه هرمز. مخزن سوخته
این بقایایی که می‌بینید لاشه پهپاد آمریکایی است توسط سامانه پدافند هوافضای سپاه مورد اصابت قرار گرفت.
برای حفاظت هوشمند از آب‌های خلیج فارس آسمانش نیز باید در رصد باشد که هست. البته با سامانه‌های جدید پدافندی. این نتیجه همان است که سپاه میگوید رصد مداوم و همیشگی تنگه هرمز. همزمان و همسو با پدافند سپاه، پدافند ارتش هم در مکان‌های محرمانه سامانه‌های محرمانه را به کار گرفته است. این هم نتیجه آزمایش موفق آن. جایی در بیابان‌های اطراف شهر بندرعباس.
آثار حجم آتشی که بر روی این پهپاده به کار گرفته شده و اونا فکر میکردن که سامانه‌های ما توان مقابله با این پهپاده رو ندارن از این پهپاده استفاده کنن، ولی ما سامانه‌هایی داریم که منتظر بودیم همچین پهپاده بیان و
دقیق قرار گرفته است.
شماره سریالی که ملاحظه می‌فرمایید ثابت میکنه که این پهپاد مربوط به کشور آمریکایی صهیونی هستش که علیه کشور عزیزمون به کار گرفته شده.
این قسمت مسیر دسترسی کاربر صهیونی را به بخش‌های الکترونیکی این پهپاد پیشرفته فراهم می‌کرده که البته حالا با آتش سامانه پدافند ارتش جمهوری اسلامی ایران تکه تکه شد. آرش‌های کمانگیر ایران هم در پدافند سپاه و هم در پدافند ارتش درباره سامانه‌های جدید پدافندی اطلاعات می‌دهند و می‌گویند این سامانه‌ها محدود است.
Well, that shows you Iranian capabilities, that's for sure. That was the... there we go. That shows you Iranian capabilities. My mic was a little delayed. That certainly shows you their capabilities. Let me show you the... I do actually want to call... I need to reschedule my medical appointment, so I am going to do that. I'll go live again depending on the extent of intensity of developments today. But let me show you what has just occurred. I don't know if it actually hit the dam. It looks like it did. Here is that dam in southern Lebanon being struck by Israel from a different angle. This was the second strike on the dam. It's unclear if they hit the dam, a road on the dam. It looks like it's kind of within 30 meters of the dam itself. It's kind of hard to tell. The dam actually is right there. And you can see the explosion having sort of ricocheted shrapnel out into the water. But it's unclear what exactly it hit. It looks like it hit the road on top of the dam. This is in southern Lebanon just moments ago. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. This was supposed to be a 2-hour Breakfast with Towel stream. We have done a 2-hour Breakfast with Towel stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. As I mentioned, this is a very dangerous situation. It's unclear if the dam is okay. I don't know if anyone's going to survey this dam. They probably need to do that sooner rather than later. I have images of the explosion off the coast of Oman. So there was a reported tanker off the coast of Oman, 60 nautical miles. I have this image that's just come across the wires via INSA, which is the Iranian semi-official state news agency. That certainly does look like an explosion off the coast of Muscat, Oman, at the back of that tanker. Yes, I think I am willing to say that that indeed is an explosion at the back of a very long tanker, 60 nautical miles off the coast of Muscat, Oman. It was reported by the UKMTO in the past, I don't know, an hour and 15 minutes, but that is a primary source photograph provided by the semi-official Iranian state news agency, INSA, showing a giant explosion. I think the Iranians might have just struck a ship off the coast of Oman. Maybe the U.S. struck the ship. That's all right. We're back, and I am a towel. Good to see you all. Yes, you are looking most certainly at a primary source image of the tanker 60 nautical miles off the coast of Muscat, Oman. That is certainly exploding. You can see the ship itself in profile here. That's the front. That's the back of the ship. The explosion itself occurred, it appears, at the back of the ship, the helm, the stern. I don't know. I'm not a maritime person. We're back. We're back. If you ever get a buffer, it's just the frames dropping. It normally lasts 4 to 6 seconds. We will be back immediately. We are back now, and you are looking at a primary source photograph taken in the past 15 minutes, released by the semi-official Iranian state news agency, INSA, indicating that there is indeed a ship that was attacked 60 nautical miles off the coast of Muscat, Oman in the past hour. Modern war in a yes, agree, translator tell. Modern war in an image, ladies and gentlemen. So that ship most certainly was hit. There's no question about that. I am monitoring for you as well the attacks on that dam. I have some new angles of the attack on the dam. It is unclear. I have one new angle of the attack on the dam, and then I got to go call my doctor. I will be back later, depending on what happens today. If you're just tuning in, thank you for watching Breakfast with Tao. We've gone 2 hours. I appreciate all of you being here. This is a public information service I try to provide in order to educate, inform, and entertain the wider public, in order to engender, coach, public discourse, and ward off the usurpation of our forms of government worldwide. If you like what you see here, feel free to consider supporting Towel Stream. You can like the stream, you can subscribe, you can tell your friends. YouTube.com/@GrantSmithEllis. There's memberships you can do, there's super chats you can do, and there's various ways to donate. Thank you so much. God bless you, Neo Mortal Girl. Yes, you can donate via Cash App, $, Grant Smith Ellis. You can donate via Venmo at Grant-E1, or you can donate via PayPal, paypal.me/Grant Ellis. Thank you all for your support of Towel Channel and Towel News. It's just coming past 9:07 a.m. Eastern here in Boston, Massachusetts on this Tuesday, May 26, 2026. It is 3:07 p.m. in South Africa, it's 4:07 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and it's 4:37 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. I'll show you one more image now, one more angle of this attack by Israel on a dam in South Lebanon. It is unclear if the dam has been damaged, is holding. It's unclear if the attack was designed to hit the dam or someone on the dam. But this is the clearest, this is the third angle of that attack I have gotten. And it is 11 p.m. in Australia. God bless you, Neo Mortal Girl. So there you have it, folks. A very serious situation developing. I hope that dam holds. I do pray that it holds. But it has certainly been struck. There's no doubt about it. The strike was right at where the dam meets the water line. And there's either a road there, maybe there was someone in the water, maybe there was some, Hezbollah fighter swimming around. That's what Israel will probably say. Lavender and Rose, God bless you. It's 9:07 a.m. in Ohio. Shout out to Dennis. How are you doing? God bless you. Thank you for being with us today, my dear friend. My name is Grant Smith Ellis, and I will be back again with you soon. You got your 2 hours of Breakfast with Tal. Whenever you see a Breakfast with Tal stream, it's normally about 2 hours. Same thing with a nightly news recap, 2 hours. If you ever see just U.S. war with Iran, it could be very long, but these normally go about 2 hours. So, I do like to end my streams a few certain ways. I like to do this first, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So I like to say the presidents in order in honor of my dear friend Tripoli Bob. I do as many as I can. President Washington, then of course President, oh goodness, I'm not having a good morning. I'm normally good in the mornings too. President Washington, President Adams, President Jefferson, President Madison, President Monroe, President Adams Jr., President Jackson, President Van Buren, skip 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is Millard Fillmore, then Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So you got Polk, Taylor, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. There we go. Shannon, God bless you. And it's 6:08 a.m. in the Pacific Northwest. But yes, that's called Tippecanoe and Tyler too. I do like to check my mental acuity. Oh, Translator Towel, thank you for those jewels. I absolutely love them. That gold coin will have a special place in my heart because it came from the one and only Interpret Towel. God bless you, my dear friend. Thank you for your support. And I do like to also end by reminding you that if you learned something today, if you benefited from this stream, if you'd like, if you're looking for a reason to pay it forward, you may consider a donation as well. You may consider a donation to our homeless veterans or our service members or their families. There should not be one veteran homeless against their will in the United States of America. I can't speak for other countries, or we have failed, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can do better. I heard that the First 48, 1 second, let me finish this. So if you'd like to support our veterans or their families or our homeless vets, do consider a donation today. First 48, yes, although the body that ordered the internet turned on via the order of Iranian president, who you know is subservient to the supreme leader in the Supreme National Council and the IRGC, was disbanded by order of the Iranian Supreme Court after ordering the internet turned on. So we'll see how that unfolds as well. I've been having these icebreaker mints today. They're really good. It's true, Dennis. People are not allowed to use Starlink in Iran, and it's very concerning. Obviously, Starlink was being used to communicate with hostile intelligence agencies during the uprising in January. That's why it got shut off, but still, it's unfortunate. You may also consider, by the way, a donation to animal shelters run by veterans or their families if you'd like to pay forward what you learned today. It's a very good way to help our furry friends. For example, our channel mascot, he's not an animal, but he is a Pete Bunny Towel. This is Pete Bunny Towel. He loves his friend Francine, just wants to say hi. You may consider a donation to an animal shelter run by veterans or our service members, or that helps veterans or our service members today. If But if you can't find one of those, you may also consider a donation to animal shelters in general. That's a great way to help our furry friends. If you're in the UK, you may consider a donation to The Big Issue. That's a great way to help populations experiencing homelessness. They can't yell out on the street anymore that they sell The Big Issue. It's a newspaper that they write. But you can donate to The Big Issue today. But it doesn't have to be a donation. It can be something as simple as smiling at someone on the street, reaching out to a friend or family member you haven't heard from in a while, or yes, even giving away 200 tomato plants like Francis Futrell did one time and having them designated honorary towels during the outro forevermore. In that way, ladies and gentlemen, may the current realpolitik, which I saw defined earlier, that was great, via Nightbot, continue to change from one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our power, to instead one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our capacity to engage in small acts of service and kindness rooted in unconditional love. Therein, living up to our Tau Eudaimonia, or Summum Bonum, our greatest good in the ancient Greek or Latin respectively, and in turn bringing about a new digital epoch defined by Aquarius the water bearer standing tall and carrying a towel. I believe it's possible because of you all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so grateful that you welcomed me into your home or wherever you're watching today. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for watching Breakfast with Towel. Thank you for being with me, and more importantly, thank you for being you. My name is Grant Smith Ellis, and although this isn't the end of your broadcast day, I do like to sign off the same day. If you would pray my indulgence, there is one song that I like to play as we end our broadcast. So I hope that all of you, until we see each other again on Towel News, as we pass 9:15 a.m. here, or come up on 9:15 a.m. here on the East Coast, which is 3:15 p.m. in South Africa, 4:15 p.m. in Tel Aviv, and 4:45 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. I pray you all a wonderful day. I wish you all well. And we will end with Towel's favorite ending song, which is indeed the U.S. National Anthem. It's not the end of your broadcast day. I may be back with you again, but I still like to end the stream the same way. Towel Chat Bomblin, I was so glad to see you today. God bless you. I hope you've been doing well. You're so wonderful. All of you are absolutely wonderful. And Towel Girlfriend, shout out to you. You are wonderful, and you have my entire heart. So, let me get you the U.S. National Anthem. It'll take me a second to find it because I have a lot of songs in my catalog. But once I find it, we will play that. And then I will see you again on Towel News, I hope very soon. Here we go. Let's do it.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I agree, Dennis. It was a very beautiful rendition. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Dennis and Gary and Shannon and First 48 and Interpret Towel and Neo Mortal Girl and Lavender and Rose and all of you who spent the morning with me. God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching Towel News. Until we see each other again, my name is Grant Smith Ellis. God bless you all. And from me and Pete Bunny Towel, enjoy the rest of your day, morning, evening, or afternoon, whatever the case may be.